One Fight Night 10 isn't just the big event of the month for One Championship, it's one of the biggest events in the promotion's history, with One Championship making its US debut at the sold-out First Bank Center in Broomfield, Colorado this Friday/Saturday, depending on where the world you are watching it from. It's on Prime Video if you're in the US, it'll be on YouTube in the UK. You can find out all that stuff, you just do a quick Google search, but obviously, because of that, it's a stacked card. So I'm going to get into it and break down some of the fights. We'll go through the card from bottom to top, working our way up, because I think every fight on this card is worth talking about. So let's get into it. Before we talk about the fights, quick little plug from me. Please subscribe, like this video, follow me on Twitter, all that good stuff. If you want to get some more One content, I'm going to put up another video or two ahead of this event because it's absolutely massive. I'm really trying to put out more One content here. If you want to check out interviews, podcasts, things like that, go over to the VMTV YouTube channel. That's where I put up all that stuff. But I'll be writing loads of One coverage for Sportskeeda and probably for VMTV as well. So you can stay across all my channels that way. Anyway, let's talk about these fights. So before we get into the kind of main card portion, you've got two fights that, again, speak to the strength of this card because they are matchups that take place right at the top of their respective divisions. Kicking off in the lightweight division, you've got Yoon, the former lightweight champion, taking on America's Lowen. I could be saying his name wrong, I apologise. That just happens with these cards, as I'm sure you will know. But this is Oak's first fight back since losing the belt to Christian Lee in their rematch after their quite controversial fight. So his first fight back since August. Lowen is kind of, I think, gone under the radar a little bit. He's had 7 wins under the One Championship banner, 1 loss to Murat Gafarov, but maybe lacking the name quality that win streak probably deserves. And Yoon is that name that he needs to really put himself into the top 5. Obviously, Oak is still the #1 contender because of that rematch that he had with Christian Lee. So, a win here for him would be absolutely massive, and obviously a win for Oak would put him right back into title contention. So big stakes here in the first matchup. Your second fight of the night takes place in the flyweight division. The flyweight division across all martial arts disciplines is going to be heavily represented on this card. You've got Reese McLaren taking on Kairat Akhmatov, the former champion, of course. We have an interview with Reese up over on VMTV, so go check that out before this fight. But with Kairat Akhmatov, you've got the #2 ranked contender, and he's on a 5-fight win streak that normally would have seen him get a world championship shot by now. The only thing that's stopping him is the fact that Demetrious Johnson and Adriano Moraes have been locked into this trilogy, which obviously ends on this same night. So I think whoever wins out of Kairat Akhmatov and Reese McLaren will get the next shot at the flyweight title. We don't know who that's going to be against, so that's exciting. And obviously a chance to make a statement here. Akhmatov actually beat McLaren on this current win streak back in March 2019. So like I said, he would have had a title shot by now. He's having to do rematches just because there's nothing else for him to do right now. But obviously this cements his place as the #1 contender, and Reese a real big chance to steal his momentum here. He's got back-to-back wins and a chance to get revenge, but also steal Akhmatov's title shot away from him, I think. Going into the main card portion of this card, the first fight you've got is the Muay Thai matchup, the first of 2 Muay Thai matchups on this card between Jackie Buntan and Deandra Martin. Of course, Jackie is one of the top female strikers on the roster. She has Filipino-American background, so it's cool to see her be able to represent that both over in Asia, but now get to come back to the US to do that as well. This is a strange thing. Her and her opponent have the exact same recent performances, not performances, results, I should say, because both of them lost to Smila Sundell, who is of course the champion of this division, and then both rebounded by defeating Amber Kitchen in their last fights. So huge opportunity for Deandra Martin to get a win over Jackie Buntan and kind of take her place in the division. And for Jackie, she just needs to keep getting those wins, keep that momentum that she has, because I think a rematch with Sundell would be quite high up there in terms of what is next for this division. So if she wins, then that could definitely be on the cards with back-to-back wins, but who knows? And like I said, really big opportunity for Deandra Martin to get the biggest name on her record. Next up, you've got one of the 2 submission grappling contests on this card, and if you're a grappling fan, then this one speaks for itself because of the names involved. You've got the current middleweight world champion Reinier coming back to the circle for the first time after losing to Anatoly Malakin in December and being knocked out. So he, of course, does not have his light heavyweight title anymore, but still respected as one of the best grapplers in MMA, and he's going to look to prove that when he takes on one of the best submission grapplers on the One Championship roster. I'm of course talking about Ruotolo. I can't wait for this matchup. It's really interesting. Tai has got a lot of experience competing against grapplers that are bigger than him. He always competes in open weight brackets and things like that, and of course he is a specialist in this discipline. But Reinier de Ridder, size advantage, very, very good submission skills. Very excited to see how he does against a grappler like Tai. I know he's had some submission grappling contests in the past. He actually beat Tai's coach, Andre Galvao. Was it a draw? It was a draw because they didn't have the rule set that they have now, which, if you don't know, one submission grappling rule set, if it goes to the end of the time limit, the person who has the most kind of submission attempts is the person who wins it. So it kind of promotes more activity and stuff like that. And I think this is going to be a really interesting one. I have no idea which way this is going to go. I would say that Tai is probably the favourite, but who knows? Really big opportunity for Reinier de Ridder, and if he loses, I don't think it takes away from his stock, because Tai is so good and he is a specialist. So good move for Reinier de Ridder to just get back into competition, I think, and it doesn't mean too much if he does lose this matchup. It's just a fun way to test his skills against one of the best in the world. Moving on to one of the night's big MMA contests, you've got one of the most beloved fighters in One Championship history, Ongla and Sang, coming back to take on Fan Rong from China. Ongla, in the last few months, has kind of been able to put together some momentum after some tough years. Obviously, he lost both of his world championships to Reinier de Ridder in their consecutive fights, but he's now riding the momentum of 2 first-round finishes over Yushin Okami and Gilberto Galvao. Looks to be a lot more focused at the moment, so excited for that. You always know that Ongla is going to bring a huge following with him, and it'll be interesting to see how that translates with the US audience. Fan Rong, decent matchup. I know that he was supposed to fight Fan Rong earlier this year, and it ended up being a replacement opponent with Gilberto Galvao stepping in. Fan Rong is 2-2 in One Championship, but his only losses to Reinier de Ridder, which was his debut, and Vitaly Bigdash, who of course have both defeated Ongla in the past. So it's a good acid test for him to kind of see where he's at, because if he can beat Ongla, then he's just below those top 2 guys, and if Ongla is able to win, then he could have a serious case for a rematch with de Ridder for that middleweight title, which would be very exciting. Up next, you have got a big return. Sage Northcutt coming back after 4 years away. A lot of people will know what happened in his debut in One Championship. He was knocked out in 30 seconds by Cosmo Alexandra, and then had to take some time off to have surgery. Then he had COVID. That kept him out for another 2 years, but finally he is back, fighting in front of the US audience. I'm sure he'll get a great reception in Colorado. He's taken on Armen Mushtaba, who is no joke. He's coming off of back-to-back first-round finishes, so this isn't a gimme fight for Sage. I'm just really excited to see what version of Sage we get. What does he look like after such a long time away? I know that he's carried on training, and he's always in shape, as you can imagine, and he's always so positive. That has not gone at all. The old Sage Northcutt is still that Sage Northcutt, but how does he look in the circle? Because we've only seen him for 30 seconds, and I think everyone agreed that that was not the fight that he should have had. And so it's exciting to see what he can actually do in One Championship, and it's always great to have Sage back, because he is such a positive person, and he's just fun to watch. So I'm excited for this one, and big opportunity for Armen Mushtaba to steal that momentum and really leave Sage in a difficult position. Up next, I keep saying up next, but it's just because this card is so stacked that I'm like, okay, here's another one. My pick for the People's Main Event, what I would imagine will be the fight of the night whilst it lasts. You've got the former world champion Sebastian Kadastam taking on Roberto Soldic, who is one of my favourite fighters in the world to watch. And we didn't get to see the Soldic that people know and love in his debut. He was grappled in the opening stages by Murad Ramazanov, and then he got kneed in the groin, and it ended in a no contest. I'm laughing because not because it was funny to watch. It was so disappointing. I was absolutely gutted. But it's just not what you expect to see when you tune in to watch Roberto Soldic. And people, hopefully, are going to find out what you should expect when you tune in to watch Roberto Soldic in this fight. Both of them have insane knockout percentages. Sebastian Kadastam has won 12 of his 14 fights by KO, and Soldic has won 17 of his 20 wins by KO. Like, this is brilliant. I think this is a way better matchup for Soldic than the Ramazanov fight, of course, because Ramazanov is a very scary grappler indeed. And you know that Kadastam is just going to want to trade with him. So that's exciting. I'll be very surprised if this goes to a decision. Of course, this happens in MMA where people go, there's no way that the judges are going to be needed. And then it ends up that is the case. And I think there is maybe an argument that you could expect a more cautious Soldic because he wants to make he wants to pick up wins, like he wants to challenge for multiple world championships in one. So, and maybe Kadastam trying to prove a point that he's the veteran of this division and stuff like that. But I think someone's going to sleep, just being honest. And I can't wait for this fight. It's going to be an absolute banger. The final non-world championship fight of the card goes to Stamp Fairtex versus Alyse Anderson. Stamp Fairtex, one of the biggest stars on the One Championship roster, one of the biggest stars in Asia, making her US debut against the American contender Atomweight. I don't think that this is maybe the best matchup that Stamp has had in a while. You know, this isn't a fight that has got people 50-50. Everyone knows Alyse Anderson is probably going to come in and try and grapple. You do not want to stand with Stamp Fairtex, considering she is a former Muay Thai and kickboxing world champion in One Championship. But Stamp is so fun to watch in MMA. Seeing how her striking translates into the MMA rule set is great. And you know that she's going to put on a show every single time. So I'm so excited to see how the US fans kind of react to that. I'm sure it will go down absolutely amazingly, but just exciting to watch. And I'm expecting a bit of a statement performance from Stamp here because Alyse Anderson is a decent competitor in this division, but she's not ready to compete, I don't think, with someone like Stamp. And finally, we have 3 World Championship matchups at the top of the card, all in the flyweight divisions, in respective martial arts disciplines, of course. The first one you've got is the one flyweight submission grappling World Championship. Mikey Musumeci looking for his second title defense against Osamah Almarwai. I think Osamah's a really good competitor. This is a good matchup. I still would bet 9 times out of 10 on Musumeci pulling this off. The last performance that he had over Bayan Duran still lives in my head. I can't get rid of it. I'm sure you will know what I mean just from that. But like I said, Osamah's good. This matchup kind of reminds me of the one we've just had announced for One Fight Night 11 with Ruotolo taking on Tommy Langaka, where it's like Tommy's a really good competitor, but I just think Cade is a level above. There's a reason why Mikey Musumeci is one of the 2 world title holders, along with Cade Ruotolo, in One Championship, and I think it's just because he is that level above. So, very tough to imagine him losing this title. But like I said, Osamah's a good competitor. He trains with the Ruotolo brothers at the Atos gym, and has done very well in tournaments and stuff like that as well. But yeah, Mikey Musumeci is just another level. In the co-main event of the evening, I know that technically Musumeci also kind of counts as the co-main event, but you know what I mean. You've got the Flyweight Muay Thai World Championship, Rodtang Jitmanon fighting in the US for the first time, taking on Edgar Tabarez, who, I'll be honest, we'll talk about Edgar first. I don't know a whole lot about Edgar Tabarez. I know that he is the first Mexican to win a international WBC Muay Thai World Championship. This is his one debut. There is some footage out there on him and stuff like that on YouTube, so you can check that out. I've had a little look, and he looks good, but it's hard to compare the skill levels of where he's fighting compared to where Rodtang has been fighting. And do I need to say anything about Rodtang? If you've never seen him before, you're going to love it. He's one of the best adverts for One Championship and Muay Thai as a whole. If you watch Rodtang fight once, I guarantee you will want to come back to watch Muay Thai and Muay Thai in One Championship. Their One Friday fight series, by the way, is mental, as I always make a point to reference because they are just so good, those events. But man, Rodtang is like, is he the most exciting person to watch in combat sports? Justin Gaethje comes to mind, but Rodtang is up there, especially for all striking. I expect him to come through this. I expect it to be a little bit of a showcase. I expect you to get all the Rodtang greatest hits. You know, if you want to play Rodtang bingo, then I think you can probably do it with this fight, with the taunts and the head shaking and crazy combinations. I think you're going to get it all, and I think that's what One Championship are hoping for. By giving him this spotlight, and of course it being his US debut, it's going to be a crazy moment to see Rodtang fight in the US, and I can't wait for it. Even if I think that the matchup could be better, if we're being honest. I know that he was supposed to fight Superlek at One Fight Night 8, and I really wanted that, and then he had to pull out because he was injured. So he's coming back for this one. So yeah, the matchup could be better, but any opportunity to watch Rodtang, I'm in. And finally, this card is crazy good. You've got a historic night with them hosting their first ever event in the US, and you've got a main event befitting of all of that. Demetrious Johnson, the Flyweight World Champion, taking on Adriano Moraes for the third time, closing out one of the best trilogies ever seen in MMA. When it comes to the story of this trilogy, when it comes to the shocks, I struggle to think of one that's been better. Of course, you had Moraes finish Johnson in their first fight, shocking the world. After Johnson had won the Grand Prix, everyone thought it was just a matter of time before he became Flyweight Champion, and Moraes managed to knee him and KO him. First time he'd been finished in his career. And then Demetrious Johnson, just, if you didn't consider him top 3, top 4 greatest of all time, he comes back and lands the best knockout of his career, a flying knee against Moraes to stop him in their rematch, to set up this trilogy. One apiece, both knee knockouts, both incredible highlight reel moments, and now you've got the culmination of that at One Fight Night 10 this Friday/Saturday. Added fuel to the fire because Demetrious has kind of maybe said that this might be the last one. I can see that honestly happening, win or lose. I just don't know if there's anything else out there that gets him motivated to keep on doing this. I know that he said he's going to compete in grappling and stuff after that, so obviously I'm talking about MMA exclusively, but this fight is so good. Is that the end of the preview? Do I just end it there? If you've only seen the highlight reel finishes, please go back and watch their fights because they've been so good, so tactical, so high level. Johnson was really patient in the second one, and that was kind of the difference, I think. I do expect him to get his hand raised in this third one, but of course Adriano Moraes is so dangerous at any moment. He's so much bigger than Demetrious as well. But that makes it more exciting. I cannot wait for this fight. I cannot wait for this card. Soldic versus Sebastian Kalastam is every morning I wake up like one day closer to that. So I can't wait. Let me know in the comments which fight you are the most excited for. Who do you think is going to take home the Flyweight World Championship at the end of the night? Could this be the last time we see DJ? Let me know. Hit subscribe, hit like, all that good stuff. And I will see you on the next one.